Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating, kind of hidden psychological trap that completely flips our understanding of what progress is actually supposed to feel like. Listen, if you've ever tried to change your life for the better, only to find yourself just feeling completely miserable and wanting to quit, you absolutely need to hear this. We are breaking down the source material on a phenomenon known as the reversal effect. So let's set the scene for a second. You start making better decisions. You start doing the exact right things. You invest way more of your time and energy. You deliberately say no to distractions, and you even force yourself to wake up an hour earlier. You're highly motivated, and you're entirely ready for a change. You look at your finances, and you start spending less. You finally begin building those core habits that all the books and the experts tell you are supposed to drastically improve your life. And it's going perfectly according to plan. You are finally doing the work. But then something incredibly strange and honestly quite deceptive happens to your mindset. The exact opposite of what you anticipated begins to unfold. Insanely enough, your life actually feels worse. Instead of feeling empowered, energized, and clear-headed, you suddenly feel way more pressure, friction, and uncertainty than before you even started. The discipline you expected to feel so empowering, well, now it suddenly feels deeply restrictive. The habits you thought would bring clarity are really just creating a ton of friction. The progress feels completely invisible. And that brings us to a heavy, incredibly frustrating question, one that makes most people abandon their goals entirely. Why does improvement feel like a punishment? From the outside, when people give up and go back to their old ways, it usually just looks like a lack of discipline. But the source material reveals that is not what's happening here at all. You are actually experiencing a psychological reversal. Let's move to Section 1, the improvement illusion. We all mistakenly assume that if a habit is working, it should feel rewarding immediately, right? If a decision is correct, it should feel incredibly validating right now. But here's the stark reality. High-impact decisions actually strip away your old comforts and create massive tension. The harsh truth is that meaningful decisions usually feel much, much worse before they ever feel better. Now for Section 2, the hidden psychology. This is defined as the reversal effect. It's a psychological distortion where the immediate emotional signal of a decision is totally reversed from its actual long-term value. You see, your brain doesn't actually measure success in long-term outcomes. It measures success using immediate emotional signals for survival. Quick feedback kept our ancient ancestors alive, but today, it creates a highly dangerous distortion in modern life. Notice how bad decisions feel great right now, while the good decisions trigger immediate discomfort. Impulse spending feels instantly rewarding, but its long-term value is obviously destructive. Saving money feels incredibly restrictive today, but it leads to accumulation down the road. And pursuing a massive opportunity, that feels intensely stressful right now, but the result is long-term growth. The signal you're getting is entirely reversed. So the crucial point to understand here is that your brain isn't judging the final outcome. Actually, scratch that. It has absolutely no idea about your 5-year plan. It is simply reacting with absolute fear to the transition itself. Transitions involve unpredictability, and to your ancient brain, unpredictability and uncertainty feel exactly like mortal danger. Which brings us to Section 3, the reveal. Here is the big aha moment. You aren't just changing your daily actions. You are paying a temporary psychological cost to transition from an entire system of immediate comfort into a totally new system of delayed growth. You are literally unplugging from certainty and plugging in to uncertainty. This is exactly why it feels awful at first. Real improvement often feels like intense pressure before it ever feels like freedom. Let's make this concrete in Section 4, real-world illusions. Let's trace the timeline of the aggressive saver. When you start aggressively saving, stage 1 is that your lifestyle contracts, and that creates immediate discomfort. Stage 2 is constant restriction. You're saying no when you really want to say yes. It feels terrible. But look at stage 3. You are actually successfully shifting your entire financial foundation from consumption to accumulation. You are succeeding. The reward just hasn't arrived yet. It's the exact same thing with starting a business. At first, it looks like things are completely falling apart. Step 1, your income becomes unstable, creating wild uncertainty. Step 2, increased stress and pressure hit you daily. Certainty basically disappears. But guys, it is not a disaster. It is just the messy, vital transition out of a fixed system and into one with much, much higher potential. The early phase of deep focus always looks unimpressive, which is why so many people misjudge their trajectory and quit right before things start working. As the source material captures perfectly, people evaluate progress based on how life feels today instead of where it is steadily heading tomorrow. Moving on to Section 5, surviving the transition. You simply have to separate feeling from direction. So here is your blueprint. Number 1, expect the reversal. Anticipate the discomfort not as a warning sign, but as actual confirmation that you are doing the right thing. Number 2, measure direction, not feelings. Ask yourself, does this move me forward rather than does this feel good? Number 3, track consistent behavior to reduce your reliance on short-term emotional signals. And number 4, create protective financial and mental buffers to really soften the blow of this transition phase. And finally, you simply have to stay in the game long enough to see the curve flip. If you can just push past that initial friction and stop relying on your short-term emotions, eventually, those exact same decisions that felt entirely restrictive will actually start to feel incredibly liberating. That leads us to Section 6, the final insight. People don't usually fail because they picked the wrong strategy. They fail because they completely misinterpret the pain of the right one. Progress often feels like loss before it ever feels like gain. You are going to lose comfort, you're going to lose certainty, and you will absolutely lose that immediate reward. And that gap, that frustrating, uncomfortable space between taking the action and getting the delayed reward is exactly where you must refuse to give up. So the next time your life feels dramatically harder right after making a better decision, just pause. Don't panic. Don't immediately assume something is broken. Instead, look at the friction in your life and ask yourself this single perspective-shifting question. What if this is exactly what progress is supposed to feel like?